Russian President Vladimir Putin meets Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing amid tensions in Ukraine as the two leaders look to project themselves as a counterweight to the US and its allies. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will visit Russia for talks with President Putin on the 15th of February as tensions rage between Moscow and the West over Ukraine. The Kremlin says Washington could not be trusted after US officials claim to have evidence of a planned operation by Moscow to film a fake Ukrainian attack on Russians. Russian Defense Minister reviews live fire exercises in western Belarus on part of a surge of military activity close to Ukraine. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson suffers 4 staff defections as pressure intensifies on the embattled leader over lockdown parties. As Beijing hosts the Winter Olympics from today, several protests held across the world from Los Angeles to Tokyo, calling out China's human rights abuses. Parts of the United States are witnessing an unprecedented winter storm. Heaps of snow gathering, homes and businesses left without power. There is a tornado threat in place. More than 100 million people across 25 states are living under a winter weather warning. A blizzard in Alabama has killed 1 person and injured at least 3. A home was also heavily damaged. After the storm dumped heavy snow on the Midwest, parts of the region were forecast to see another 6 inches of snow. The storm is also wreaking havoc on travel. The bad weather has cancelled more than 4,000 flights, and it has been advised to not travel on some roadways. In Texas, the storm will test the state's power grid. Remember, the state suffered catastrophic outages last February as well. The state had said that last year's outage led to the deaths of 246 people. Most of them due to hypothermia. But this year, the Texas governor has assured that the state has plenty of power available. Around 33,000 Texans were without power on Thursday night.
We are dealing with one of the most significant icing events that we've had in the state of Texas in at least several decades.
This one wasn't a planned outage. This one was due to the weather, but it feels a lot like it because it's been so long.
A winter storm is wreaking havoc in northeast United States, while a Lima zoo is treating rescued penguins after an oil spill in Peru. A quick look now at the latest coming in, where families are being taken in at emergency shelters as the Reunion Island remains on the highest weather alert for the second night running. Tropical cyclone has now moved away from the French Indian Ocean territory, but after a night of torrential rains and powerful winds, 860,000 inhabitants were forced to barricade themselves indoors. Meanwhile, wildfires continue burning through natural parklands. They have devastated over 1,000 hectares. The fires in Tierra del Fuego province have been spurred by dry wood on the forest ground and strong gusts of wind. This is according to Chile's agriculture minister. The Chilean National Forestry Corporation reports that the fires have already affected 1,235 hectares of forest. Lima Zoo veterinarians are working tirelessly every day to wash, feed and monitor the vital signs of Humboldt penguins. These are a threatened species of penguins. The vets are also helping several other seabirds that were saved in Peru. This after nearly 12,000 barrels of crude spilled into the sea of Peru on the 15th of January.
Marinas porque tuvimos varios pingüinos.
The Thwaites Glacier in Antarctica is called the Doomsday Glacier for good reason. A giant iceberg and large chunks of ice that broke off from the Doomsday Glacier have now blocked an expedition of scientists who are trying to reach the glacier to study at the rate at which it is breaking up. Our next report tells you more.
These scientists are on a mission. They have set up camp in Antarctica to study the rate at which the sea levels will rise as the polar ice continues to melt. The Doomsday Glacier is of special interest, but a large iceberg that broke off from the deteriorating Thwaites Glacier is now blocking the two research ships with dozens of scientists on board.
More troublesome is Western Thwaites. The ice shelf is almost completely broken up now. And if you look at a satellite image, it's just a mess of icebergs, all of which conspire to stop us from getting there because the iceberg's got all the sea ice around it and stuck, and it's a vast area we can't cut through. In terms of time, I think the ice shelf will be gone in a matter of years to decades, but the actual inland ice, that's the really unknown question.
The scientists want to study the impact of the warm ocean waters. But what has baffled them is the rate at which the Thwaites Glacier is beginning to disintegrate. Earlier, it was widely estimated that this giant glacier could take hundreds of years to melt. But at the present rate, it may happen a lot sooner.
I mean, there's definitely a speed up of the ice entering the ocean, and the front of the ice shelf, it tends to oscillate back and forth until the next big iceberg breaks off, and then you're back. You step back a step, and then the ice creeps out into the ocean again. The next one breaks off. So the fact that you've got net retreat of the grounding line, the point where it goes afloat, and you've got acceleration of the ice from upstream means that the volume of ice entering the ocean has increased.
The fear is, once the Thwaites Glacier disintegrates, that other glaciers in the vicinity will break down at an ever-accelerating rate. For the scientists, this trip has proven to be a lot more challenging than what they had earlier anticipated. It is hard to battle against the forces of nature, but it is proving harder to arrest the worsening climate change. That is, changing landscapes in places on planet Earth, where humans don't even have permanent settlements. Viewer Report, WION, World is One.
Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev. And to help diffuse the tensions, the crisis, Erdogan has reaffirmed his offer to host a Ukraine-Russia peace summit. Erdogan stressed his support for Ukraine's territorial integrity. He also rejected Russia's 2014 annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. and repeated his idea of holding a Putin-Zelensky summit in Turkey. The summit will aim at easing fears that Russia is preparing to invade Ukraine.
Türkiye, Karadeniz'den komşu olduğu iki dost ülke arasındaki krizin sonlandırılması için üzerine düşeni yapmaya hazırdır. Liderler seviyesinde bir zirveye ya da teknik düzeyde görüşmelere memnuniyetle ev sahipliği yapabileceğimizi bugünkü görüşmelerimizde bir kez daha vurguladım.
Before meeting Zelensky, Erdogan had suggested that Russian President Vladimir Putin could travel to Turkey. This after attending Friday's opening ceremony of the Beijing Winter Olympic Games. The Turkish leader is looking to leverage his special relationship with Putin to set up the peace talks. But Erdogan's push for a sit-down has so far been impeded by the Kremlin, which is angered over NATO member Turkey's supply of combat drones to Kiev. Ankara and Kiev have moreover inked a fresh agreement aimed at expanding drone production in Ukraine. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked the Turkish President Erdogan for his initiative to become a mediator. EU leaders have stepped up outreach to the Kremlin to diffuse fears that Moscow could invade Ukraine.
Окремо хочу подякувати президенту Ердогану за ініціативу стати посередником між Україною та Росією на шляху до завершення війни. Для миру в Україні ми готові робити усе можливе на усіх майданчиках і усіх форматах. Немає значення, де саме можна поставити крапку війні. Важливо.
Moscow has refused to pull back over 100,000 troops from Ukraine's borders. It has accused the United States of ratcheting up the tensions by sending 1,000 soldiers to Romania and 2,000 to Poland. Western powers have been engaged in intense diplomatic efforts to deter any further attack on the ex-Soviet country. Leaders of Germany and France have said that they are eyeing possible visits to Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow as Europe scrambles to defuse tensions with Russia. The French President Emmanuel Macron spoke